From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Protecting those baby calves from a known predator.
They're scavengers.
How researchers are working to keep them separated. A temporary funding freeze appears to be impacting some USDA programs. We'll have the latest as a new round of tariffs are being talked about by the Trump administration.
I'm kind of got that uneasy feeling on the whole tariff thing.
The impact they could have on producers right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer. More farmers choose Pioneer brand corn because it delivers game-changing yields. Join a winning team. Pioneer brand corn. Your best year starts here.
Good morning, I'm Clint Griffiths. Happening right now, President Trump says he'll announce new reciprocal tariffs. Those tariffs would match duties imposed by other countries on U.S. goods. Now, on Monday, the president targeted steel and aluminum imports, and new Chinese duties on American goods went into effect.
This escalation is not going to be helpful.
President Donald Trump says he's announcing a number of new tariffs this week.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum, too.
Canada produces about a quarter of U.S. steel imports. Mexico supplies about half that. Analysts say the upside of the tariffs is they might help domestic producers. U.S. Steel Corporation is struggling so much it unsuccessfully tried to sell itself to a Japanese company just last month. Some economists say the downside of the tariffs could be higher prices for Americans. Now, they point to other duties on metals that Trump imposed in his first term.
It was sort of a situation where an eye for an eye left everybody blind.
Also today, new Chinese tariffs on certain U.S. goods began. They're 15% for certain types of coal and liquefied natural gas, 10% for crude oil, certain vehicles, and farm equipment. China says, quote, trade and tariff wars have no winners. But it says it's responding to President Trump's new tariffs on Chinese products. They force American businesses to pay 10% extra as a kind of tax on Chinese imports over $800. Many economists are watching to see if it's inflationary.
When you're dealing with the Chinese government, you really are looking to try to find a way that nobody really looks bad.
So what could additional tariffs on our trading partners mean for agriculture? AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us with the possible good and bad news.
Right, Clinton, the trade war is starting to escalate, especially with China, which may derail a possible extension of the Phase 1 deal. And President Trump may also announce reciprocal tariffs this week, which would match duties imposed by other countries on U.S. goods around the world. Now, all of this could negatively impact agriculture, the U.S. economy, and monetary policy. The tariff battle with China is heating up as they're implementing countermeasures to the 10% tariffs from the U.S. The good news is so far the retaliation is targeted and not broad-based.
These countermeasures that China has put on U.S. goods coming into to China, basically those won't be implemented until February 10th. And they're also targeted, and they're not broad-based.
Despite that tit for tat, he thinks the U.S. and China can eventually work out their differences.
So, in my opinion, I think that leaves the door open for at least a negotiation between President Xi as well as President Trump.
However, other ag economists are less optimistic and predict slim odds regarding an extension of the Phase 1 deal between the U.S. and China due to politics and China's weak economy.
I don't think they have the capability to honor the Phase 1 deal as it was written. I think, too, just the nature of the politics between the U.S. and China, they never met the full objectives of Phase 1 to start with.
Meanwhile, President Trump is also signaling broader reciprocal tariffs to match duties imposed by other countries on U.S. goods, which could spark retaliation and impact the dollar and monetary policy.
But it doesn't help the inflationary situation. So you think about, things such as interest rate, policy and monetary policy just in general. I think the Fed could be reluctant and, reducing rates here in 2025.
And Close says that could negatively impact the ag and U.S. economy.
I'm not a real advocate of tariffs, and I think the expense of those things ultimately falls on U.S. consumers. So I'm kind of got that uneasy feeling on the whole tariff thing.
While fund traders often buy ag commodities as a hedge against inflation, the increased volatility and uncertainty may be negative for producers. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. By now, you've heard about temporary funding freezes across many areas of the government by the new administration, and USDA is no different. Reuters reporting the agency has frozen some funding for farmers as it goes through a review. Now, some of the money involves environmental conservation programs tied to the Inflation Reduction Act. Another program included the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, or EQIP. Now, it's a program that helps farmers, ranchers, and forest landowners integrate conservation into working lands. Farm Journal's Jim Wiesmeyer says there are reports of farmers being unable to pay for materials they've already purchased or fulfill contracts they've signed. The Iowa Soybean Association has stated that farmers in their state are contractually owed about $11 million for practices implemented last year. The American Soybean Association said it was notified by growers that payments associated with the Partnerships for Climate Smart Commodities program have also been suspended. Democrats on the Senate Ag Committee sending a letter to USDA demanding answers and clarity following the funding freeze, which has already faced battles in the courts. Now, the Office of Management and Budget has said funds for farmers would not be paused. And the national sorghum producers keeping an eye on funding cut off to USAID. Now, as we told you earlier this week, it's reported last year alone, USAID purchased $2 billion worth of U.S. grown crops, much of it for the agency's Food for Peace program. NSP says Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the acting director of USAID, stated the pause on foreign aid did not apply to life-saving programs such as food. NSP says its standing policy remains to support the distribution of in-kind U.S. commodities over cash contributions, which can lead to fraud and undermine both U.S. food assistance abroad and domestic farmer support. Now, it says it continues to work with the administration to navigate the shifting landscape. Another developing story we're following, the AgDay weather team is tracking a major winter storm set to push through the Midwest. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht has the latest for us.
And the very latest on that storm, in fact, it's going to be a parade of storms. A couple of systems moving through as we go through this week. The first, this is Tuesday at 7 a.m. You can see that we got not only the rain, but also the snow back into parts of Kentucky and even into West Virginia and Virginia as we go through our Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. Now we're going to get a quick break before the next system starts to take shape, bringing a good amount of snowfall back south of the Dakotas and up into the north and to the Midwest. This is Wednesday at 6 a.m. with the system moving through. More moisture behind this and a little bit more robust in terms of the energy in the atmosphere. So we're spreading rain all the way down here to the south to snow all the way back up here to the north and something a little bit in between. That freezing line setting up parts of Indiana, but also into Ohio as well. We'll, of course, talk more about it. And they're hard at work in Connecticut, and the State Department of Transportation sending out this video saying, "Here come the plows." They said crews worked hard to clear the state road and highways over the weekend, a scene that will be in the forecast the next few days. I'll have more on that forecast in just a bit.
Futures markets spent Monday preparing for USDA's next report. We'll take a look at where things stand coming up next. And later, baby calves are extremely valuable these days, which is why farmers in Tennessee are working to keep these black vultures away from the herd. Today in the country.
AgDay is brought to you by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator Closing Wheels provide quicker emergence and are more consistent in dry conditions than any other closing wheels. Order 12 to 16 rows today and qualify for free shipping or 20% off an end zone moisture management package.
Despite the strong prices for cattle, as of late, packer margins are in the red. That has some beef processors cutting back on production. Recent numbers show packers are losing more than $100 per head, and that slashed weekly processing last week to 576,000 head. McDonald's says customers are spending less when they come to the restaurant. According to its fourth quarter report, the company says same-store sales fell nearly 1.5%, even though more customers came through the doors. Now, the chain's reporting a 5% drop in net income to just over $2 billion. Now, globally, sales increased slightly following 2 consecutive quarters of declines. Live cattle were back in the green on Monday after some heavy fund liquidation last week. AgDay's Michelle Rook has more in Markets Now.
Well, grains closing mostly lower on Monday with the exception of the corn market. Tom Fitzenmeyer is with us with analysis Corn held up really well on Monday. So was that market just still trading some of these strong demand fundamentals going into the WSDA report on Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. They're looking, I mean, the average trade guess is for a 20 million bushel drop in the carryout again. I think a lot of people believe that exports have been good enough there's a good chance you could see the USDA bump exports a little bit. Some even feel that maybe ethanol will get bumped, although that one I guess I wouldn't feel as strongly about. But I think the expectation for a little bit of friendliness tomorrow or on Tuesday morning is probably what's going to or did support the corn market relative to soybeans and meal.
If we get a 1.5 billion bushel ending stocks number on corn or below, is that enough to get corn to close above the $5 mark?
It may very well be. I mean, the funds are already hold a substantially long position, but every time that it's broken, they've been certainly willing to sit in and support those positions. And I'd guess, yeah, a sub 1.5 carryout would probably propel us up above 5, and you know that sets us up for that last high we had around 508, 508.5.
And soybeans and meal, we've got more favorable weather. So were we taking out maybe Argentina weather premium?
There's a bunch of stuff in soybeans. I mean, the Brazilian crop, that's one of the reasons I think beans are down a bit, is because I think there's an expectation that the Brazilian soybean crop is going to be bumped a little bit in the report. Probably going to drop the Argentine crop a little bit, but yeah, ample supplies. It just really makes it hard for the soybeans to go anywhere. And I don't think anybody thinks there's going to be much change in their export expectation or their export number or their crush number in the report either.
And then wheat fell. Was that the strength of the dollar or just some profit taking?
That's just profit. Wheat's not going anywhere.
Thanks so much, Tom Fitzgerald with Summit Commodity Brokerage. We'll have more AgDay coming up. Watch Markets Now with Michelle Rook on the Farm Journal YouTube channel, keeping you updated throughout the day on the markets at the open, midday, and close. Find out what moved the markets today and what to expect the market to do next.
Yeah, I thought we'd start off with your Tuesday and Wednesday forecast to show you the first of, we'll say 3. The first one coming through early in the morning on Tuesday, but it's more shallow than the next 2, and meaning we got snow tracking as far north as parts of Kentucky, and then that rain dragging back down here to the south and to the southwest. Managed to get some thunderstorms back into Texas and Louisiana. Now again, that's Tuesday morning. This lifts out, bringing more snow back into Washington, D.C. and New York City, but leaving dry back up in the northeast, including New Hampshire and Maine. That'll change with this next system. So that moves out. Next one's starting to take shape. I got the jet stream lines on here. You can see that there's more support for this next one in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That's going to combine not only some more moisture from the south, but also that energy to the north as that works through. So by Thursday at 9 p.m., that second one moves out. And again, that's going to spread rain and snow through nearly 2/3 of the United States. A ridge of high pressure builds in through the 4 corners, the Dakotas, Texas, Oklahoma, with some sunshine and slightly warmer temperatures. But you can kind of see already our friends on the West Coast are going to be dealing with. That is the same energy that we're going to be tracking as we go into your Saturday and Sunday as it works from the west to the east. This is Saturday at 4 p.m. and almost a repeat of what's coming Wednesday into Wednesday night across parts of the Midwest. You got the rain extending from the south all the way up here to the north in the form of snow, and that dividing line, that rain-snow line, dividing the two back in and across the Midwest. So again, that's snow, but also significant rainfall. More moisture as it stands right now, more moisture and energy with this next system. So you can see it in the jet stream coming up for your Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You got that deepening, the trough out here Wednesday, and this is going to repeat itself as we go into the weekend. But that's also that upper level support, that energy that we look for to spread that rain, to spread that snow in and across the United States. A break on Friday before that next system starts to take shape. By Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, more upper level support and colder air behind it. And we'll start off in Pete's, Colorado. We got some evening snow, high around about 13 degrees. Spring City, Utah, cloudy, high of 35, low of 7. Walton, Wyoming, cloudy, high of 13, low of 6 below.
A new strain of avian flu has been detected in dairy cattle out west. We'll have the very latest next. And later, the cattle industry in Tennessee is searching for ways to keep black vultures away from baby calves. That story in the country. A newer strain of avian flu has been detected. According to the Nevada Department of Agriculture, 6 dairy herds in the state tested positive for a newer strain named D11. Now, USDA detected the newly infected herds on January 31st through a program that tests milk in large silos. The strain is different from the virus which has been circulating in other dairy herds. The newer bird flu strain was previously detected only in birds and people who had contact with infected birds. The January cattle inventory report was eye-opening when it comes to the U.S. dairy heifer population. Dairy herd management taking a closer look, reporting that the nation's dairy heifer inventory dipped another 0.4% in the past year, adding to an overall decline of nearly 7% in the past 5 years. Now this year, just 2.5 million head of dairy replacement heifers are expected to calve in the milking herd. That's the lowest level since USDA started tracking it back in 2001. For more on the numbers, head over to dairyherd.com. Newborn calves are worth a pretty penny these days, but in Tennessee, some are being attacked by black vultures or buzzards. Up next, a look at farmer concerns and how to mitigate the conflict in the country. Tennessee cattle farmers face a threat to their herds from above. Black vultures, also known as buzzards, can be aggressive in attacking newborn calves. Charles Denny of the University of Tennessee's Institute of Agriculture has more on this farm battle between species.
A bellowing mama cow takes mighty offense to a couple of black vultures approaching her baby. The buzzards are looking for a potential meal, and the heifer is doing her duty to protect her offspring. This interaction was captured by a camera stationed in a pasture at UT's Middle Tennessee Research and Education Center in Spring Hill.
And black vultures in particular are different from other scavengers because they hunt mostly based on sight.
Blair Downey is an animal behaviorist with UTIA and leads this project observing cattle and buzzard behavior. Here a cow steps in front of her calf as the predators approach. Black vultures spy vulnerable prey from above and then swoop down, often in packs, and feast. Cattle are sometimes a target, mostly the newborns.
And then when cows are giving birth, if you've seen a newborn calf, they are often very bloody and very lifeless looking because they were just born. So what's probably happening is the black vultures are seeing that there is something not really moving that looks like it might be dead. Mom is vulnerable because she is exhausted. She's just given birth. She's very tired. Baby can't really defend itself. Baby can't walk very well just yet.
Now, in fairness, let me speak up on behalf of the vulture culture. We do not need to eradicate these animals. Vultures play an important role in nature.
Unpleasant as it may be to think about, vultures dispose of decaying animals.
They're scavengers. If we had no scavengers, if we had no vultures, we would be in a situation to where there would be rotting carcasses everywhere, increasing bacterial contamination in water sources that could ultimately impact human health.
Kevin Thompson is supervisor of the Spring Hill Ag Research Center and maintains large cattle herds. The cameras also allow researchers to note how cattle can become agitated by a vulture encounter and how that might be a threat to their human handlers.
It increases the maternal aggression, which is something that we're studying now because it just brings such danger to us as producers when we go out to tag that newborn calf and we don't realize maybe that the buzzards were there and have irritated that cow to the point to where she's extremely aggressive because she was protecting that newborn.
The cameras also caught this moment, a curious calf annoying the vultures for a change. In the end, vultures are just trying to survive, and cattle are too, but best to keep the two apart. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day. I'm Farm Country.